Alright, this is a confusing video to do, so I've already tried this once and it didn't really work, so I have to explain this. Okay. So this will make more sense to those of you who were in your 20s, 30s when Kurt passed away. So the narrative, the incident surrounding Kurt at that time is embedded in history. Okay. We're going to use that as a fact. Whatever you think happened, or whatever, how intensely you feel something else happened, the narrative is set in stone, okay? For April 5th, 1994, and what happened to Kurt. Okay, it's set in stone. So it's kind of like looking at say Joan Joplin, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Amy Winehouse, or whatever. The 27 Club, that's also important, that there's this narrative, this story surrounding these individuals, and you, from a entertainment point of view, it fits in. Most people don't need to look any further. It's just, it happened, and it's sad, and that's the story. Can you rewrite history? Yes, you can. That is absolute fact. Rewriting history has been done many, many, many times. I mean, most of us have learned history that we think is true from, hundreds of years ago, and we don't know if it's true. I mean, in fact, it's only been able to be followed by people writing their stories of what happened. Who knows, But I think that especially people that were close to Kurt, it's really hard to explain, because I feel like I've gone through this too, where the originally what I heard, it didn't make sense, and it made sense, and it was sad. So obviously it didn't make sense in the beginning. You're like, what? I was like, what the fuck happened? What happened? And then your mind tells you stories of what could have happened, and then you have to become okay with it, because Kurt's gone and there's nothing you can really do. And it's like, it's like Chris Cornell, what happened, I think that there's a good possibility, if I didn't have that voice tell me that Kurt was going to be murdered and I need to go see him, that later on I wouldn't have taken it seriously. I kind of feel that. So I feel that most people that knew him, and most people that were around at that time, and just, the narrative, the story, the events surrounding Kurt our history. That's why I was really going into the details of, you know, a story being created by somebody else that Kurt was suicidal, because that, I believe that that's bullshit, and I believe that that was one of the main things that made everybody feel that something else happened. So that's really, really important, you know, but you can't force people to go there, and they don't even know where to look, you know, they don't know where to look, they don't want to look, they're just like, why, you know, Kurt's dead, you know, respect him and leave it alone, right? I mean, I think I'd be right there if that didn't happen to me. You know, that November 5th, 1993, because that hit me so hard, and it's so crazy and in depth what I went through. I can't even really completely explain it. And it falls into like an insane synchronicity to me or something. You know, it's beyond just synchronicity, but it's also that like pointing towards something, you know. But now I'm going to explain that all of you guys, so a lot of you, you know, were born in the last 25 years. I'm sure there's quite a few people listening to me right now that are 25. So you're looking at these events with actually like a more an open mind. I think that it's interesting to look at things that way. And you're more open to listen, to hear, and to look at some details and some facts surrounding this with an open mind. I think that, you know, I can't articulate the word that creates that difference from the people that were in their 20s and 30s back when that happened. So April 5th, 1994, April 8th, whatever you want to call it, to people that were born after. I just feel like I know a lot of people. I have a lot of friends that I'm kind of curious what they think, because I have a few friends that are incredibly intelligent people that don't, you know, they're not going to just feed into bullshit. They're extremely like amazing people, and they you know, they know bullshit, and they know the truth, and they know, you know, and they feel without, you know, even looking into it much, it's pretty obvious something weird happened, you know. But is there anything we can do? You see, that's the other thing. It's like I think, I mean, the more I look at it, I have incredible people in my life that are like, of course something that, you know, happened that was not what we're hearing. But it's also like, but what the fuck can we do about it? You know, what can I do about it? What can I do? I can't do shit. You know, I'm not gonna go like, you know. So I mean, it's a sad scenario in truth that defending Kurt you walk right into a brick wall, and the brick wall is 25 years old. Well, yeah, anyway, that kind of makes sense, I guess, you know. Or I should say that brick wall is 25 feet thick. Maybe that's better, right? And I don't know. I mean, if some of you are lawyers out there, I mean, maybe you know more than, you do know more than I do. What, I mean, so I just wanted to, really, this video is about the stories that surround us are somewhat set in stone, and they hold there's a belief system around the story that will make you believe something. And in an event, it can either be people telling you something which you take as truth because it fits into the narrative, to the story, or there's more surrounding it. In the case of Kurt, there's so much surrounding this that it really does take someone to have an open mind, but it's very easy, I think, just how the mind works to just take the face story as what happened. I mean, it makes sense. It's just how things work, You take the main story. You guys do it every day without knowing it, most likely. I mean, we do it every day. You know. But something that I do really understand is that everything you think you know, everything is not what you think it is. That is absolutely true. So I know it's hard for you guys to wrap your brain around that, but it's all within words, okay? And I've gone into this before, but you have to look at any object and you put a word on it, just like a knife, okay? You look at a knife, and if you're just going to write about it in detail, does it have a plastic handle? Does it have a wood handle? Is it made with bolts? Is it made with screws? Is it made in a factory? Does it exist? How long is it? You can write pages and pages and pages about one knife, really, if you wanted to, But it's still what were the particles in the knife before it was in the form of a handle, before it was in the form of the blade? What were those particles that were in the earth somewhere, that were part of a rock or part of some material or sand or whatever it was? And then what was it before that? So that's what I'm getting at. It's like we're completely conditioned just to give one word to an object, and that is what it is. So with the narrative around a story, it works in the same way. And people like it to be this way. They don't, it's like, this is what this is, and it's going to be this way, and that's the most likely way it is. So any other story that may take it off from being that is misleading you. No. Sorry, have an open mind, because that's really important. If you're ever, again, you're just going to take stuff for the face value, for the face story, fine. That's why really it's like, at this point, I I watch the news or listen to the news, and I can't even listen to it very long because you know that there's just so much just crap. It's just like this, like it really is spewing garbage. The whole. I'm just going to use this as a short example, but how can you go? How can you've gone through the last 2 years of hearing anything about the president or whatever without hearing, you know, a Russian investigation, Russian elections, da 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 da. It's like it's a perfect example what I'm talking about. This narrative that's created, this thing that's created, and then you form a belief system around it based off what others are telling you, based off what research you do, based off whatever, and you form a belief, and then it just turns out to be just a big circus, and you realize any um, energy you put into thinking about it or worrying about it, and see, I didn't give a fuck. Russia? I mean, you go back to Bullwinkle, there's Boris and Bullwinkle. There's like, Russia has been part of the United States government forever. Not part of it, but it's just like them talking about it, or, the fear mongering, the Cold War. It's been going on for years. It's just like, why is that even a question? It's like it's just so ridiculous. I don't care. I don't care. You know. So I think see, this is important. You have to turn off the news in your brain. So regarding any story, you know, you just turn it off. You know. So regarding Kurt, turn it off. People they it's sad. Turn it off. It's done. You know. For me, it's not. You know. I mean, I live with it. You know. Kurt was part of my life. The band inspired me more than any band ever in my life. I think. Being friends with the band, having experiences with them, seeing a ton of shows, constantly reminded of things, starting to talk on my YouTube channel, and then no idea people were going to be this interested. I know you guys probably don't believe that, but I had no fucking idea. I thought there'd be, maybe a couple hundred people or something that would, come to the page and once in a while and respond to videos or whatever. I knew that there'd be some interest, but I didn't realize to an extent I'd be getting messages every day, and meeting people and hearing something that's very powerful, and it's part of what I'm trying to explain right now is that the last 25 years, the people who are speaking, should be taken seriously too, and not just be taken as just a bunch of people that are feeding into a conspiracy theory. I don't think that's right at all. And that's what people that were around back then, that you just want to that just want to forget it. They look at anybody that just I think the age that we are in right now, or the time, and the whole theory of like of conspiracy theorists and paranoia and all that's created its own like huge movement that these people are crazy, and they're no, I think